Hello and welcome to Wagner's Tech Talk. My buddy Glen over at Glen's Retro Show has created an awesome GRS Flight Yoke, which is compatible with the original arcade, the arcade 1-up, and a number of other devices. I simply took his awesome product and designed a 3D model that allows you to build this. Your own desktop enclosure that allows you to play all your favorite Star Wars games and so many more. There are already a number of excellent reviews on the GRS Flight Yoke, so this video is going to focus on the how to build this particular enclosure. Let's get started. Let's quickly talk about what is the GRS Flight Yoke. First of all, it allows you to play certain arcade games that require such a device. It has analog controls with 6 physical buttons, gamepad controller support for 2 mouse modes, pitch direction reversion, and it's compatible with Windows, Linux, Mac, Raspberry Pi, Arcade 1-Up, Arcade Legends Ultimate, and the original Star Wars arcade. Your next question may be, well, what if I don't own an arcade cabinet or I don't have room for one? Do I have another option? And the answer is yes, and that's what this video is about. OpenCADE allows you to reconfigure your control panel however you want, but in this case, as an enclosure for the GRS Flight Yoke. While the models are free for download, you will need a 3D printer and or a friend or family member who's willing to print it for you, and keep in mind, it will take a while to print all the parts. I also want to say thank you to Scott, who is the individual who 3D printed this model that you see here. I made a post on Facebook about it, and he was really eager to try it out, so I sent him the files, and he tested it, so everything should print just fine for you as well. If you go to wagnerstechtalk.com/OpenCADE, it'll take you to this page, and from here, just simply scroll down to where it says Main OpenCADE Download and click the link here. You will want to download the archive from Thingiverse, and at that point you will need to decide what type of case you want, one with holes in the front or one without. I use the one without. Now if you go to the Glen's Retro Show products page, from there you will be able to locate the files that are specific for the GRS Arcade Flight Stick. So if you scroll down a little bit, it'll tell you all the things you need to know, such as where to get the yoke, the clamps that I used, as well as the base, the screws, and the nuts. And below that, I have the assembly instructions and a link here where you can click it and download all the files that are needed to build this specific enclosure. First off, you'll need the control panel itself and the 2 side supports. Now, let's go ahead and put it together. Alright, now for the fun part. Let's go ahead and put this thing together. This is the OpenCADE base. I chose not to use the front holes. It took 23 hours at 50% infill. Here we have the control panel for the GRS yoke. It took roughly 13 hours at 50% infill, and yes, my PLA did get stuck, but it worked just fine. Now we have our side supports, and both of these together took 6 hours at 50% infill, and you do want to print them both. This is what we're going to use to secure the entire assembly to your desk. So that's basically what it looks like. Now we'll take the GRS Flight Yoke itself, and we'll go ahead and assemble it into the control panel, and it's very easy. One thing I want to mention is there is a metal plate that has the cables fed through it. You won't need this for this assembly, so you can go ahead and remove that from the cable. Here we have the Arcade 1-Up connectors, which we won't be using for this, and this is the arcade connector if you want to hook it up to an arcade machine. Actually, this is all we really need is this USB connector. But we'll go ahead and feed all the cables right in through the hole here in the control panel, just like so. And then bring it up towards the flight yoke itself. To mount the flight yoke to the control panel, I'm going to use the screws that were included with the yoke, as well as the nut in the washer. And to do that, all we have to do is simply slide one of the bolts through the metal panel and then take the control panel itself that we 3D printed and slide it through. And then on the opposite side, you want to take the washer and the nut and go ahead and screw those in good. And repeat that for all 4 locations. And now I'll quickly speed through this just so you can see how it all goes together very quick. You may need to tilt the yoke a little bit to get the right angle in order to get the screws in nice and tight. And there we go. Now we'll go ahead and assemble the side supports, and this is what they look like. And there's 4 screws on each side, so we're going to use these M3 screws and nuts. There's not a whole lot of complexity involved here. It's simply just making sure you get everything fastened tightly. Keep in mind this is going to be used to make sure it doesn't slide around on your desk, so you do want to make sure that you get everything good and tight. Once done, that's what that looks like. Now we'll go ahead and repeat the same for the other side. Just slide your screw in and your nut, and I'll fast forward through this. And there we go. Now all that's left is to put the control panel into the base. So we'll go ahead and take the base with all the wires. Now you could secure these wires better than I did. I just simply set them in here. But the only one we really need is this USB cable. You could wrap some electrical tape or another cable tie there, but I just used the one that was on there. And then you basically just want to line up the holes and repeat again with your M3 screws and nuts, and go ahead and secure the back first. And be careful because it is top heavy at this point and it could slide off and fall off your desk. So you do want to be very careful. And I'll speed through this as it's more of the same, just putting screws and nuts in. And now the assembly is complete. And again, I want to remind you, it is top heavy and it can fall over, so do be careful. Here, I'm just going to double check that the USB cable won't come out and it's secure. Now let's go ahead and secure it to the desk. To do that, I'm going to use these 2 clamps. I'll put links in the show notes below in case you want to pick up the same. But the reason why I picked these is because it has a nice rubber grip on the top, which helps keep the plastic protected a little bit when you're tightening it down. You can use whatever clamps you prefer, but that's just what I picked. So we'll just go ahead and tighten it down to the desk on both sides. And there we have it. I think we're ready. Maybe we should switch over to another location where I can hook it up to my Windows laptop. I did invert the clamps here because I needed room for the keyboard. And now we'll check out Star Wars Squadrons on my PC, connected up to the GRS Flight Yoke with the OpenCADE control panel assembly. I did map the 2 top thumb buttons in order to roll left and right, which made it a lot easier to intercept the TIE fighters. Glen, you have absolutely outdone yourself with this control system. It is amazing. I am having a blast, and quite literally. Definitely go check out Glen's Retro Show. Not only does he make some awesome products, such as spinners, trackballs, Tron sticks, and the flight yoke that you see here, but he also has a ton of excellent content on his YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, or think you will enjoy this video after you 3D print your parts for your OpenCADE enclosure, well, don't forget to subscribe too, and I look forward to talking to you very soon.